Thank you for the reminder.
Okay.
All right, Dale, go ahead and hit that video if you wouldn't mind.
Says our international president, Brian Sheehan. And today's theme is Together We Can Serve with Humility. This series, as has been told to you earlier, will focus on servant leadership and how to lead effectively in this century of service. We will bring to you insights from Lion leaders from across the globe and also hear your thoughts. Your thoughts are very important. And we will have breakaway rooms like we had in the last, where you can air your thoughts. In the very last session, you shared your thoughts not only in the breakaway rooms, but also through the Google Forms. We heard your responses, and that is how today's theme is Together We Serve with Humility. You suggested that, and here we take it forward. Today, we have with us our immediate past international president, Doug Alexander. Kindness Matters was his theme. And let us hear how he and AP, our vice president, converse to discuss servant leadership.
Chairperson Doug, how do you relate to the concept of servant leadership in everything that you have been doing for the association and the foundation?
When I think of servant leadership, I think about how we serve in our communities. I joined Lions to serve in my community, not to be served. And as I was serving in my community, my club reached out to me to become a president of the club. And my first reaction was, no, I just joined this club 2 years ago. You can do it, you can do it. So I stepped forward and I served as president of my club. Next thing I know, they were after me to become a zone chair, region chair, a vice governor, and a district governor. And that all happened within 10 years. But all along the way, I kept saying I joined to serve, and I kept serving in my community. Opportunities came my way, and I continued to serve in my community. I often tell people, when was your aha moment? And mine was when I delivered a Thanksgiving basket to a needy family. And I still do that service today. That was more than 30 years ago. I joined to serve my community. And as a result of continuing to serve, and to serve for the right reasons, good things happen. I became an international director and even an international president. But it was always about the service. And when I finished my term as chairperson of the foundation, I will continue to serve in my club. That's where it all began.
You have always inspired the Lions of the world to serve from the heart. What is your message for service from the heart as related to servant leadership?
I often use it as an example of, say we're Lions serving in a soup kitchen. Everyone who comes through there is not happy or proud to be coming to a soup kitchen. But if they come and they see a smiling face behind the table who's serving them a meal with a smile and welcoming them from coming, it puts them at ease. That's service from the heart. You've made that person who may be destitute at the time feel like a real person, that they matter. That is service from the heart. And when we do that, people can tell the difference. It's so important that we serve for the right reasons, and that when we do it from the heart.
Chairperson Doug, we find so many members join our association and many of them leave. Why do you think do the members leave? Or rather, let me put it this way. Why do you think do the members join and stay in our association? We need to be promoting that feature more than anything else.
We are Lions, and a lot of people join our organization for a lot of reasons. And you can usually spot the ones who are looking to promote their business. And I say to people who come into our organization, if you join for the right reason, that other stuff will come. Focus on the service, and you will get rewarded in so many ways. And I share an example that happened to me being in the banking business. And we do mortgages. And one of my members was the accountant for a very famous person who was looking to purchase a $2 million home in Manhattan. Who got to do that mortgage? We did. But we didn't go looking for it. It came to us because of the connection. We joined to serve. You will be paid back in so many ways. Join for the right reason. The other stuff will come.
That was so interesting. Taking it from there, Vice President Singh, you speak of servant leadership, but we have hierarchies in our organization. It appears to create different stratas at times. How does this reconcile with your idea of servant leadership?
When I talk of servant leadership in our organization, one thing that is absolutely clear to me is that the servant comes first, the leader comes next. It's not that somebody is in a position of leadership and then that person serves like a servant. No, it's the reverse. An individual is always a servant to the larger interests of the association, to the larger interests of the communities and humanity at large. And in doing so, an individual plays some leadership roles. This essentially means that within the overall DNA of the leadership or the character of that individual, humility and service is inbuilt. In fact, humility and service go hand in hand. They cannot be separated from each other. Even in our organization, for reasons of administration, because the organization is now spread across all parts of the world in 200 countries and geographical areas with around 1.4 million members, we do need certain administrative structures. Those are incumbent, those are kind of unavoidable because we have administrative structures even in the Vatican or in the Golden Temple or in the Hindu mutts or in the best of universities or in any kind of polytechnics or the sports bodies. I mean, everybody needs administrative structures. So do we. It is with that intent in mind that we have a certain hierarchy developed within our organization. And as individuals wear that badge that specifies them to be occupying a certain office, one thing is for certain, that those badges are all transitory. Each of those positions are there only for a limited period of time. The individual needs to remember that those are here today will be gone tomorrow. There is only one badge which is permanent in our organization, and that's the badge of a lion. I am Lion AP Singh, you are Lion so-and-so. That is what brings us on the common level. That is what gives us the great opportunity of serving alongside with each other, serving as friends. Nobody's ahead of anybody, nobody's behind anybody. We all serve together. And that kind of humility, understanding that somebody is just in a position for a particular period of time, does not mean that that individual becomes superior to that person. Rather, that individual declares that that individual would be ready to serve before the others are ready to serve. That is essentially the message of serving with humility, of serving with the lions, serving alongside the lions. It's not that certain individuals wearing badges have seats reserved in the front rows. Maybe that's accorded to them out of respect by the lions, but that's not what they command. That's what is offered to them out of respect by the lions. But individuals with badges will never command or demand that a seat be reserved for them. No, that's not there at all. Everybody in this organization is equal. I have seen past presidents and I've learned from them over the years. Before I got this opportunity to serve in this office, I've seen them stand in queues while like every other lion to pick up their food, to pick up their gifts, to pick up any items at the conventions. There are lions who go up to them and try to pull them, forward. Come on, jump the queue. You're a past president. You're an individual with a particular badge. And then they would say, no, I'm just a lion like you. It's this messaging. It's not only a messaging, it's a mindset. It's this mindset which is extremely important. Badges are there, badges are transitory. The title of lion is the only permanent title in our organization.
It generally appears some leaders in our organization have powers vested by the rules, bylaws, our constitution. How do servant leaders exercise such powers?
As servant leaders, resources are put in the hands of the individuals that are occupying certain positions. The most important resource is the man-hours. They could be taking certain decisions by which individuals, the Lions and so many clubs, would be devoting their hours of service for a particular cause in a particular direction. So any decision that the leaders take in our organization, they must understand that each of those decisions must be taken in a right perspective. There are no powers that are vested in the hands of the leaders. I don't think, even if the constitutions lay down that certain powers are vested in certain positions, that they really need to be exercised as powers. As servant leaders, at best, we may exercise influence because of the kind of service, because of the kind of leadership through service, essentially, that those individuals are providing, that the members in the clubs, the members in certain constitutional areas or even across the world may be ready to listen to what those individuals are saying. But then it's all about influence, a very friendly influence, because every member in this organization is important. Somebody without a badge, somebody without a particular position in our organization may be having a great idea. That individual may be a Lion, maybe who's joined a club just a few months ago, maybe just a year or 2 years ago. And who knows, that individual may be floating an idea that we are really looking for. Because after all, from time to time, our organization needs to rebrand, repackage its services and offer the same services maybe, but with a different packaging to our communities. Packaging is important in today's world, because as we reach out to the youth, as we reach out to the generations that we have not touched earlier, or the communities that we have not touched earlier, we would really need to do so in a manner that they truly appreciate what we are doing. And in doing so, we need to be extremely flexible. We need to not say that we've done things in a particular way, so we continue to do things the same way. Because a servant leader doesn't do that. A servant leader listens. A servant leader is ready to bend. A servant leader has flexibility. A servant leader believes that he or she must improve and improve at every opportunity. A servant leader believes that he or she must make sure that the individual offers satisfaction to those the person is serving. It's all about satisfying our communities. It's about satisfying our stakeholders, our governments, our civic authorities. That is the essential role that we play in the leadership of this organization. And we can do that, once again, if we are ready to listen, if we are ready to change, if we are ready to be flexible, if we are ready to accommodate, if we are ready to build a consensus, involving everybody together and carrying everybody together as we move forward.
Thank you, Vice President Singh. We have often heard you speak about membership growth. We are, however, a service club organization. How does membership development fit in the role of a servant leader?
Growing the membership in our organization and growing it sustainably is definitely a prime responsibility with the leadership. We talk about servant leadership. We talk about leadership through service. We are a service club organization. Our real purpose for existence of every Lions Club is that the club serves in the communities, that the club strives to make this world a slightly better place than what it has been before. We have that unwritten commitment to the future generations that we will leave this world slightly better than what we inherited. But together with that is wedded the concept of sustainable membership growth in all clubs, in all districts, in all constitutional areas. Reason, it's not about service today only. It's about service continuously. Today we are serving well. We are the #1 service club organization. this essentially means that we are proud of the Lions lapel pin that we wear, because our concerns are not limited to our biological families. Our concerns go beyond, and we try to make our communities better. And if we want this feature, if we want this value to continue into the future, we definitely need new members. If we don't have new members, how would they continue into the future? I mean, I joined this organization close to 38 or 39 years ago. I'm here today, but for sure, some years, maybe I don't know when, I would be gone. We are all a perishable commodity. We are here today, and tomorrow we'll be gone. We are passionate Lions. We are serving in our clubs. We are enjoying the fellowship. We love this organization, but we would like this organization to go on, these values to be handed down from generation to generation to generation. There would be different ways of serving. There would be different priorities, but the need for service would always be there. It would continue to be there so long as human beings exist. And if we want to perpetuate our organization, growth of membership on a regular basis is something that just can't even be debated upon. It's a necessity. It's as much about, loving our organization, and the love must be expressed through growth of the association, through adding more members who are like-minded, members who are service-minded, quality members. I mean, definitely when we talk about adding new members, we are just not talking about adding numbers. We are talking about adding members, because every individual who comes into this organization comes in with new thoughts, new ideas, new visions, new contacts, new aspirations. And that's what's important. That's what has kept this organization on its growth trajectory, and to be the #1 organization in service in the world for more than 100 years. And that's what will keep it going as well. So as we continue to serve, and we say that we are a service club organization, our focus can never be removed from that important element of sustainable membership development in every club, in every district, in every multiple district, in every constitutional area of the world.
What is that must be kept foremost in our minds as servant leaders as we reach out to our communities?
One of the most important things that, according to me, we must keep in mind as we serve is that we do not take away the dignity of the person whom we are serving. In trying to provide something which is material to an individual who needs it at that point of time, and we are a medium of reaching out that material stuff to that person, or even some kind of medical aid or anything to that individual or that individual's family, we must not take away from that individual the basic dignity of a human being. If that is taken away, if that person is put under the burden of having received something from someone as a help, having received something for which that person must always be thankful, then we are really taking away that person's dignity. I mean, it's a very balancing act. We've got to be providing the service, but with such humility that we do not touch upon that person's dignity. We make sure that that person continues to feel honored and respected. We are just doing our part of the duty. We are not doing somebody any favor. There's a particular saying in our part of the world, which goes like, "Tera tujhko saunp ke kya lage mera," which basically means, by giving you what essentially belongs to you, there's nothing that I have given from myself. It always belonged to you. I was just holding on to it, and I have provided it to you. It's with that kind of a mindset, it's with that kind of a feeling that we need to be serving. I'll give you an example. We had past President Frank Moore in Kolkata a couple of months ago, and we went out on some of the wintry nights in Kolkata with about 400 to 500 blankets. Even today, on the streets of Kolkata, there are some individuals who are really being subjected to those severe winters, and they do not have enough warm clothing. Some of them were even sleeping all that we did was to lay out a blanket on them. No photographs, nobody knows, no giving ceremony. You just lay out the blanket, you put it on them, move ahead. The next morning or a few hours later, that person gets up and will realize the person has an extra warm clothing. Who gave it to that person? He or she will never know, need never know. We just do it and we move on. And you spread out hundreds of those blankets, you come back with a satisfaction that I've done my duty. I could do something to be of service to these individuals. I've performed my service. It's been recorded in the ledgers or the accounting of God Almighty, of providence, and that's good enough. As good lions, as individuals who wear this lion's label pin, we have lived up to the legacy of service. And it's not taken away anybody's dignity. It's not taken away anybody's self-respect. We've done our job. The other person's got what that person deserved to get, and that's the end of it. I mean, service has to be done without bringing that other person down in any way, continuing to restore that smile, continuing to restore that feeling of pride in that individual, and giving that individual that glimmer of hope. So servant leadership is about serving without putting anybody under a burden or a yoke of thankfulness or something as if it's owing to a person who has provided some material means. President Frank, can you tell me, what does servant leadership mean to you? How does it relate to everything that you have been doing, the leadership that you have been providing to the lions of the world?
Today we're discussing servant leadership, and that is so important to everyone, but particularly to lions. I'm an educator by profession, so leadership is so very important as we teach young people and as we grow into university and as we grow into adult life. Servant leadership is very special. It's very special to you. It's very special to me. As we have joined Lions, we've joined for many reasons. And I can honestly tell you, I did not accept the membership in my Lions Club for service or leadership development. Unfortunately, I must tell you, I joined because it was the most influential club in the community, and I thought it would be good for me and it would advance me. That's a true statement. However, I must tell you, it was because of an indoctrination program where my sponsor sat down and explained what Lionism was all about, what it meant in our community, what it meant in our district and state. And it was several years later when I had my aha moment, and it was in service. It happened to be vision. But because a lion mentored me and prepared me for what lions are truly about, I think I was the beneficiary not only of that learning opportunity, but then to be able to share that and hopefully be mentors to others.
You gave the lions of the world the message, light the path. What did it mean to you? What did you essentially intend to convey to all our members across the world? And how do you think that fits into the mold of servant leadership?
My presidential theme was light the path. I chose that for several reasons. First of all, my symbol was the lamp of knowledge, an oil lamp. That is representative of my profession, but also the importance that we share with others. We have that leadership opportunity, and so therefore I use light the path as we led the way, ask others to join with us, and brighten the opportunities for millions of people around the world. It was able to combine leadership in leading, but also service. We are lions, we serve. And for that, I chose light the path. And I hope we always light that path light that path for that new lion that comes in who may not have any idea of truly how diverse we are and the difference we make in the lives of people around the world. So I ask you to be that mentor. I ask you to light the path as we go forward and have many, many additional lions come and join us, and therefore the beneficiaries of our service will be a better world and a better place to live.
Thank you for all of that. Thank you for sharing your thoughts. In the year 2001-2002, Frank Moore served as our international president. Today, he is here in a conversation with Vice President Singh.
Wow, so many amazing, amazing tidbits and takeaways from that. We are so blessed to have so many amazing Lion leaders, both serving right now and with the word past in front of their names. And I think that's really, truly an inspiration for all of us. You know, Vice President AP said something really, really prophetic. Titles are ever changing, except that of being a lion. The only title that stays is that of being a lion. We serve by side, and we serve together at all times. So many amazing things in there. We need members, not numbers. Another great takeaway. Serve from the heart and be a mentor. All of these making the world a better place and allowing our lions to serve more and make a difference. So what a great series of interviews and conversations that we just had. It's about time for us to send you off to share your own thoughts on humility and servant leadership. In a minute, we're going to send you all into breakout rooms for this 20-minute discussion. When it's your turn, please share your name and where you're from, along with your thoughts on what we as Lions can do to ensure humility in the light of servant leadership. I believe most of your rooms will have a moderator assigned to help guide your discussion. If you don't, please assign someone to be the moderator that will help to keep the conversation going and make sure everyone has a chance to share their thoughts on humility and servant leadership. So 20 minutes for each of you to say who you are, just your name and where you're from, and your thoughts on what we as Lions can do to ensure humility in the light of servant leadership. Dale, are we ready to send people off into breakout rooms?
Yes, we are.
Awesome. Well, we will see you all back in 20 minutes. Have fun and enjoy the conversation. Welcome back from the breakout rooms, everyone. Excited to hear a recap of the conversations. Well, I am in the process of bringing a couple of our moderators on to the conversation here. It would be awesome if you guys could drop your thoughts into the chat window on what you thought and what your feelings are on servant leadership and humility. I'm going to get a couple more here to get into the call. We got Gayla, Richard, Tamara, Dawn Marie, Julian. I am coming for you, my friend. I think we lost Julian. Oh, no, found him. Julian, bringing you I'm just not seeing everyone right this second. All righty then, let's start with Gayla. Gayla, if you would like to give us a brief recap of what the conversation in your breakout room was all about, that'd be fantastic.
Well, we had very interesting conversations. We also had some silent people. So those of us who were speaking did share a little bit more about those moments that had touched us. And as the stories went on, more and more of us needed to dab our eyes with tissues. But I think some of the things I'd like to highlight was by donating to LCIF, our own foundation, we don't ever know who we're helping. So what an example of humility, of servant leadership, because it could be going anywhere. We have absolutely no idea. Somebody else added, helping fellow Lions to take their ideas and make them a reality. We have servant hearts when we give of ourselves and we fulfill a need, that we're giving people a hand up. Sangeeta gave us her example of where they were at a function and somebody said, "Are you really serving?" And they got people to stand up on a platform and collect clothing, and they then changed that to go and actually give it to the people. So, you know, we can all learn. that we must give fully to others to uplift them, and it mustn't be based on who and what they are. And you know, the story that was given to us about the blankets. Do we really need to be taking that picture for social media? Have we not just got hooked up into it? And yes, we do say that sometimes we are the world's best kept secret, but for somebody to wake up in the morning and find a warm blanket on them, you know, in your heart of hearts that you have done something. So those are our highlights. Thank you very much.
Gayla, that's fantastic. You know, that comment about, do we need to be taking photos all the time? I would advocate that it's important to get a photo of lions in action that you can share on social media, but that doesn't mean you have to be on your phone taking photos the entire time. I think being in, you know, paying attention, as Gayla said, and being involved in the activity and just being part of the service project is more important than being on your phone the entire time. So great comments, Gayla. Love it. Hey, Richard, what was going on in your breakout room?
Well, you know, it's interesting you talked about social media, because it seems like social media for some folks allows them to have a little different personality and a little more openness. And so thinking about how to be humble on social media, how to make that extra effort to make sure that people are understanding you and you're being pleasant and soft and ensuring that you understand what they're saying, rather than kind of taking the a different side of it. There's a willingness to do work, a willingness when you take on a job to actually complete the job, even if it means you have to jump in and do some of the work that isn't so pleasant, but it has to get done. And so you're taking on that accountability. There was an example given of somebody who was a very high status in the organization who was carrying their own bag onto the airplane. And that set a tone. People watching that would say it was like the jumping the line kind of comment. In terms of social media, we know we have to advertise because we're looking for donors and we're looking for people to join us. But I don't always have to be in the photograph. I can make sure that some of those folks who are doing the work are also, if they're willing, to get the credit. Influencing, consensus were hot topics too. Thank you.
Fantastic points, Richard. Really, really fantastic points. Tamara, what do you have from your room?
Good morning. We had a wonderful discussion about how growing our clubs and growing our membership helps us to serve more in need, as well as the fact that sometimes the way we're raised up, the way that we're brought up in our cultures and in our families helps us understand that service is important. And when we're raised with that, then we become adults and lion leaders that allow us the opportunity. We understand that humility. So we talked a little bit about how the titles mean a lot to some people, but in our everyday meetings, if we set that aside and we don't use past at all, and we're just lions and we're Leos, of how important that is and how comfortable it makes people. Like the lion's toast, not above, not beneath, but with you. And it keeps everyone equal. So we talked about the fact that the vision to serve is the same, no matter where we come from, no matter what culture or where we're at in the world, that our vision is all the same as Lions, and that's to serve. And then we also talked about how a smile can go so far. Past International President Doug shared with us about the soup kitchen and how it's just smiling and making that person feel comfortable actually made them receptive to be receiving the assistance that they were receiving. And so we talked about how that smile, especially as Lions, can go a long way.
That's fantastic, Tamara. You know, that smile is so much of it. It's welcoming to all, whether it's a member or the person you're serving. That's fantastic. I'm gonna, before I go on to the other recaps, just want to bring out Lion Emily Barth, who is moderating room 6 for us, said there were so many amazing thoughts. We were lions of all different ages and years of service, but all agreed that by doing service ourselves, others have followed and joined the service we were doing. So true. You lead by example. We take away our ego to help others. We're from all different places, but we're all part of one community called Lions. Love that, Emily. Thank you for doing that. Hey, Dawn Marie, how was the conversation over in your room?
Very enlightening, because we went from one group who said we need to make our meetings more friendly. That's what it started with. But it went on to saying everything from doing service projects that are meaningful and doing service without expectations. The more service activities lead to more members feeling fulfilled. We join as humble servants. We keep humility, no matter what the positions that you may have that change. And that past is just in the past. Make sure you always stay present and be a lion, and make sure that the individuals should not be felt humiliated, but we should always feel like they are elevated. And we need to be sensitive and aspire to the needs of those in our communities with our services.
Say that again. All should feel elevated. I want to write that one down. Say that again, please.
I have it written. I will send you all my notes.
No, but say it again.
So you can share.
Say it again for all of us. 'Cause I think it's a really key.
Okay, I think you want this one. To make sure the individual or individuals should not be humiliated, but should be felt elevated by the service we give.
I love it. That is a fantastic quote. And it really speaks to the heart of what we do as Lions in our service. That's amazing.
And I want to give the lion who said that is Lion Prashad from 318 in India, who's only been a lion for 12 years.
Wow, that's fantastic. Thank you, Dawn. Dawn Marie, that is amazing. All right, one more quote before I go to Julian to have a recap. Room 12 was Renata. And she said, we agreed that no lion will make a great leader who wants to do it all by him or herself, or to get all the credit for doing it. And that speaks directly to the fact that together we can. And with the more people on board, the more we can get done and the greater our service can be. And it's just really fantastic. That's a really great point. And credit, I am going to make a brief comment about credit. We don't join this association for the awards in most cases or recognition, but that does not mean that we should not be appreciating our members and the service that they give. And appreciation and that appreciative heart is such an important part of being a servant leader as well. If you're appreciative of what the people are doing and your members are doing and what the community is doing, it opens the door to so much more. It's kind of like that smile. Smile and appreciation go hand in hand. A simple thank you is so important to everyone to make them feel welcome and part of the service and that their service is valued. All righty then, Julian, how was it in your room? What'd you guys chat about?
Our room was very good. Thank you very much, Jody, for asking. We had some silent ones that didn't respond because of either technical difficulties, but we had lions that really hit the nail on the head, like Lion Gary. He spoke about leadership that brings a community into your club, built like a community. He even talked about some of the readings that he's done over the years. And there's one book, I think I asked him to put it into the chat. It's there, it says it's by Charles Christine.
I've got it right here. Did you find it, Julian? Yes. I got it.
Yes, it's there. So basically that's one. Also, we spoke about the mentoring aspect and also as a leader, showing your humility towards your persons in your club, because mentoring two ways. You can mentor directly, or you can mentor indirectly by leading the way, showing the way, the process. Now, you will find some in your club that was noted by one of our lions, that there may be about 30% that want to go ahead with being, showing humility to others, but others may not. So this is where that indirect mentoring comes in. As you should lead by showing examples and things like that. And the largest one that came out of our group was proper orientation, some mentoring, and also try to get away from cliques. You know, the cliques, you know, some clubs have them. They're everywhere in life. But if you can get away from those ones, and also as a leader, show by example of the way you do things, and as it was mentioned, our life as a leader for our club, maybe 1 year. Lions International, your presidency, even our international presidency is 1 year. So basically, you never own that position, but you can still, by showing humility as you go on as a leader, they will follow you. So basically, that was coming out of our breakout room.
Fantastic comments, Julian. Great. Sounds like another great discussion was held in your room. You know, as we look at mentoring, I do want to encourage all of you to look for strong servant leaders as your mentors. We are leading the way right now as far as really being focused on servant leadership. And I will tell you that I first met and or saw Vice President AP, I don't know, 10 or 15 years ago at some event. And since then, I have been following him closely because he is the true epitome of a servant leader. And when Vice President AP talks servant leadership, I think we all should listen. It's not that we shouldn't listen to others. So I recommend you follow Vice President AP and learn from him and learn from other Lions that you admire that will help you build your servant leadership skills. And that's the informal side of it, following them. And then look for those Lion leaders that can help mentor you directly as well in servant leadership. If they can take the time to help mentor you, I think it's really important in our growth as servant leaders to recognize those fantastic servant leaders out there by looking to them to help us grow our service as well. So I really appreciate all the comments you've all made. I'm going to, Dale, while we're transitioning here, if you want to remove those spotlights, I'm going to just mention that book that Gary Holloway had put in the chat. It's a book on building communities in our clubs. It is called Mastering Community by Christine Porath, and he says it's a great book. That is in the chat if you want to search and find that. It's from Gary Holloway. The last piece that I'm going to add is, before we move on, is that from Lion Roshan, leaders should be well informed about purpose of what we do. So true, which goes to the orientation. This will help to create the best version of a servant leader. It's hard to be a servant leader if you aren't sure what it is we're doing as an organization. So I think that's really key as we move forward. And as we talk about servant leadership, is having the knowledge about what it means to be a Lion in your club, in your district, and beyond is really important as you look to mentor others and help them build their servant leadership skills. And Julian and others had mentioned a recap of orientation. So often, our Lions, we assume that our sponsors are going to be the best person to help orient our new members. And sometimes they are the best choice. But in a lot of cases, they just invited someone. They don't know enough about the organization beyond the club to really help mentor that person and orient them in what the organization's about. We are first Lions in our own club, so orienting them about what it means to be a Lion locally is first and foremost, but making sure they're connected to the organization beyond the club, to the global organization, the global network of service that we provide is key to their growth and their satisfaction as being a member. So keep that in mind as you're moving forward. All right, Dale, I think we're ready to share our next step, which is to talk about how you can get your certification for being a servant leader through the Lions Virtual Academy. And what we're doing is Vice President AP and PID Sangeeta have committed to 9 of these sessions over this year and the next 2 following years that will help us to all build our servant leadership skills. So for today's session, in order to receive the certificate, you either have to have attended this session live, or we will be posting it on the Lions Virtual YouTube channel in the very near future and share that out. But then you need to complete the reflection questions that you're going to find, excuse me. You're going to need to complete the reflection questions that you're going to find at that link. And I'm going to drop this information into the chat window right now for you, so you can easily click on that link to be able to get to the reflection questions. Once you have completed those reflection questions, You can then hit submit, and you will be prompted to download a PDF certificate of participation for this session. You can go ahead and fill in the date that you completed it and your name before printing, or just save the PDF as is for your records. So that's what we're doing with the certification from today's session to receive your certificate. But we also know that not everyone was here for our first session. So Dale, can you go to that next slide for me, please? And if you did miss our first session, the first session was an overview to servant leadership. And that included interviews with both Vice President AP and PID Sangeeta, along with current International President Brian Sheehan and past International President Joe Robleski. It was an amazing session. You can go back and catch up on that by viewing the video, the recording on YouTube, and then completing the questionnaire that goes along with that. Again, once you've completed that questionnaire, you hit submit, and you'll be able to download your certificate. Once we get through all of these courses, we will be providing an overall servant leader certification that we will provide a special certificate to everyone who completes them all. So that is what happens with our certification program. We think it's important that servant leadership be at the forefront of everyone in Lions, because we're all leaders at our club level. If you took nothing away from today besides this, I think it's a win. We are a global network of Lions, all doing the same thing. We are all leaders and all servant leaders working together to reach the common goal of making a difference and being the global leader in humanitarian service. Each of us has the opportunity to make that happen. Without each of us leading to the best of our ability as servant leaders and inspiring others, we don't move forward as an organization. We are stagnant. And the world can't afford us to be stagnant at this time. There's too many things out there and too many needs to be met. So we hope that you're inspired by today. We hope that you take what you learned about humility in these conversations and apply it to your personal leadership style, and also help spread the word about servant leadership. I want to thank VP, AP, and PID Sangeeta for joining us from the airport. We are so inspired by you both and all you're doing and leading us as servant leaders. I want to thank our moderators. We had a whole crew of moderators with us today. Without them, it makes it harder to get the information and help you moderate your discussions. My partner in service, Lion Dale, thank you for doing the tech for us today. And most of all, thank all of you for being here and advancing your skills in servant leadership. Keep the conversation going, and we will hope you all stay safe, keep serving, and we'll see you down the road at the next session.